Welcome to today's Meet On. Again, a series of Meet Ons that we will be doing periodically throughout the week with regular scheduled events at 1 p.m. on Wednesdays. We're all coming to you, giving you more information about products, about ingredients, utilization, formulation, and answering your questions and answering your customers' questions about how to use an advanced nutraceutical line to meet their overall needs. Today's discussion, I wanted to just spend briefly with you to discuss whether or not there is a role for things that we refer to as excipients or fillers and binders in the nutraceutical industry. The truth is, these are absolutely necessary within the nutraceutical industry. And in fact, they're considered the standard in the nutraceutical industry or in supplements. It's not uncommon to look at turn any bottle over and see things like magnesium stearate, looking at oxides, citrates, malates, and finding out that these are not just not uncommon in the industry, but sometimes they're there to improve two factors in your product, both solubility as well as diversibility, or rather uh, the diversity of the ingredient throughout the tablet or the capsule. So these are two factors that are important to pay attention to when evaluating your product line. Now, we do have an incredible product line referred to as the isotonic delivery system, or our isotonic line. Those of you that participated in the webinar and the meet on this afternoon learned more about the advanced nutraceutical line and why isotonics has an advantage. One reason we believe that isotonics have an advantage is that they are a product line with no fillers and no binders. They have a high bioavailability. But the question that many of you may ask is whether or not that limits the bioavailability of other products made available through our industry that are not isotonic. So one factor I want to get into is whether or not the use of excipients is normal in the industry. So we've answered that question. Excipients are normal in this industry. In fact, they're expected because when an active ingredient is in a tablet or a capsule, we want to make sure that it is moved through the capsule or the tablet in a uniform way. That uniform way is ensured by using things like magnesium stearate in the product, by using other binders in the product to ensure that not only is it dispersed through the tablet or the capsule in equal portions, but that product also has the ability to move into solution. So once it is either put into the stomach where it is exposed to stomach acid, or it is put into other solutions or mixed, the focus mixed with water or other factors when we look at things like protein powders and fiber powders, if we want to make sure that it is also soluble, that it will move into solution. And that's an important factor. Excipients that are found in the industry ensure that that will happen. They also ensure that when you swallow a tablet or a capsule or a soft gel, that it will move through the digestive tract in a comfortable way for your patient or yourself. So it's important to know that we're thinking about those factors on the supply side of the industry to ensure that patients can be more compliant, that products will produce results because the active ingredients that are in the product need to both interact with each other in a helpful way or in a way that is appropriate to the formula, and that they will interact with the body in a way that will ensure some level of absorbability. And that, again, that all of the active ingredients don't find themselves in one side of the tablet, the capsule, or the soft gel. So one question that gets asked, if they're part of the industry standard and we're absolutely going to use things like excipients or binders in a product, is there a role for fillers? Fillers are the types of things that we think of as bulk fillers, or things that make the tablet larger, make it appear more marketable because it's larger or it looks like there's a lot packed in there. Fillers don't necessarily have a large role in a professional branded product like those available to us, but in fact are usually there to make the tablet seem more marketable. So one factor I'd want you to pay attention to in the industry is to avoid certain fillers. Fillers are things like the talcs that are found in certain products. Is it necessary that products have a dye to them, that they are a nice lavender color, that they are yellow or pink? No, these aren't things that are going to improve your results after taking them. They're not things that are going to improve the uh, the solubility or the diversity of the ingredients in the product. What they will do for you is help you identify one product, tablet, or soft gel from another. So for identification purposes, food grade dyes are frequently used within the nutraceutical industry. What you may want to look at avoiding are things that have a lot of chemical dyes in the industry, or chemical dyes, things, names that you can't pronounce. These are things that you want to pay attention to. One thing that you should know about the nutraMetrix and Market America product line is that while we use excipients or binders in our products to ensure solubility and ensuring that the ingredients are dispersed throughout the tablet in a uniform way, we're using the minimum amounts necessary to ensure those two factors, and we're using these products only when absolutely necessary to ensure the quality or delivery of the product. And delivery is really where the rubber meets the road. You want to be looking for a product line that has trademarked ingredients or clinically studied ingredients. Two great examples of this when we look at the nutraMetrix and Market America product line are the fact that we use phytosome technology. This phytosome technology is an idea of emulsifying or adding a fatty layer around certain nutrients to ensure their penetration through the cellular level, the cellular layer, which is a fatty layer. These types of things not only protect the active ingredient, ensure their movement into the tissue at the cellular level where it's necessary, but they'll also improve bioavailability, even when it's not in an isotonic form. One other factor that you may be looking at, and that you'll see in many areas of the nutraMetrix and Market America product line, are things like BioTrack technology. BioTrack technology is found in our probiotics as well as in the professional product, the niacin, to ensure equal delivery or a sustained type release or support of the active ingredients in the formula, making sure that they're not all delivered at one time, but that they are delivered over a period of time, and that they're not degraded while they're being exposed to either stomach acid or natural metabolic processes, but are kept intact and concentrated, ensuring that they're going to be able to get to the source tissue or the receptors that are needed or that they are directed for, to ensure not just their own bioavailability, their own concentration, but obviously that they're able to produce results in your customers or in your family, or if you yourself are taking the product. These are the types of things that are hugely beneficial to know about the industry. So let's recap before we answer your question. Is it necessary to have fillers and binders in the nutraceutical industry in your supplement? The answer is it's not necessary if you have the capacity to turn a product into an isotonic product. This is where you have a 90 to 95% bioavailability, and you're not utilizing any factors like a filler or a binder to ensure solubility, because you're using inactive ingredients that do not classify themselves as a filler or a binder, like malic acid and citric acid, that will ensure their bioavailability. Then there are those things that cannot be rendered isotonic, and because they can't be rendered isotonic, Market America and nutraMetrix have worked with formulators to ensure a higher level of bioavailability without using excessive amounts of fillers and binders. These are things like phytosome technology, an emulsified technology that will move a fatty end product, a weighted end product or active ingredient, or something that may be irritating to the body, so we want to emulsify or cover it in fat and ensure its ability to penetrate through a fatty layer, like your cells. And then there are things like BioTrack technology or sustained release technology. These are the types of things that ensure that a product that would otherwise be very fragile, like a B vitamin or a probiotic, do not get exposed to stomach acid and then not have the ability to be delivered to the body or the tissues where they are metabolically active. BioTrack technology is like saying sustained release, and it ensures a steady stream of the active ingredient and exposure to that active ingredient over time. It not only ensures that your body is not given a high amount or all at once type of solution, but it also sustains the integrity of the active ingredient without using excessive amounts of fillers and binders. Are dyes necessary? For identification purposes, and food dyes are sufficient. If you can't pronounce a lot of the words or the colors or they sound like chemicals, this may not be one of the best solutions for you to be evaluating in your nutraceutical line. You may want to look at a product line like that that's made available through nutraMetrix to give you a higher end product, a quality product with minimal use and only necessary use of excipients like binders to ensure solubility and dispersibility of an active ingredient throughout the soft tab, the capsule, or the tablet. Let's stop there and answer any questions that you may have about the industry and the use of quality ingredients, forms of nutrients, and excipients within this industry. Let's go ahead and open it up to your questions. I am hearing that you like my padded room. Those are, now I can't even remember what they're called. Not cork, bamboo. Bamboo panels behind me. Any questions? Am I really that good at answering these questions that you have none? I brought no questions to the panel. No questions to the forum. Okay, then with that, with no questions, I would be more than happy to welcome you to another live broadcast tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be talking, or I'll be talking with you about the benefits of supplements through different decades of life. Every Wednesday at 1 p.m., I will run a program where you will be able to log on for about 30 minutes to ask questions about products, and I'll be doing more of a wellness type Wednesday with you and your customers. Okay, it looks like we're getting a couple of questions now for you. So one of the questions that I'm given here is, what are some of the specifics on what some of these fillers bind or excipients bind up? Really, the point of a binder is to ensure that the product doesn't degrade while it's sitting in the bottle on the shelf and can stay intact during the processing or handling of a product, whether that's through processing in the facility or movement or transport of that product from a manufacturer to a distributor or distribution company to the actual consumer base. So it's important that these binders are there so that the product is shelf stable and that they're not and that certain environmental exposures like sunlight, air, and sometimes water or sometimes fluid will not degrade or break down the product in a rapid fashion. But they should be food-based, food grade, and they should not be excessive in their use, but minimal in their use to ensure those two factors we discussed. Solubility, so that active ingredients can turn to solution, and dispersibility, so that the ingredients are equally dispersed throughout the tablet. When it comes to binding, we also want to make sure that certain active ingredients don't interact with one another. A good example of this is ensuring that calcium does not interact with things like vitamin C. That's an important factor when paying attention to the use of these products. Other things to pay attention to is that fillers are not always necessary. They're simply there to make the product look bigger which gives the patient or the customer a sense of quality or value, but they don't have any real role in the product. It's more about marketing. So you want to make sure that when you're looking at a product line, that you have more active ingredients than inactive ingredients. But understand that you're always going to see some inactive ingredients because that's how we ensure safe delivery and shelf stability from the manufacturer to a distribution house to your customers. One question I'm being asked, why is there glucose and fructose in isotonics? This may be a question that was answered earlier on in Meet On when we talked about the quality of utilizing an isotonic product. The fructose and glucose that are found from natural food sources in the isotonic product line are there to ensure an isotonicity. You can either use a saline solution or a sugar solution to carry or act as the motivator or mover of an active ingredient across the cell membrane. Just like your body absorbs glucose, just like your body will absorb or utilize fructose for energy, it will do the same thing in an isotonic formula, taking those active ingredients on a carrier of glucose and fructose and move them into the lumen of, from the lumen of the small intestine into the cells. It's a transport mechanism and nothing more than that. You should note that we have per capsule of isotonics 3.3 grams of total product, and a portion of that is fructose and a portion of that is glucose. This is a minimum amount or minimal amount of both fructose and glucose. When paired together, have a low glycemic impact. And it's up to you as the customer manager or the patient to decide how many grams you are going to consume at a time. Of course, all isotonics, being customizable, can be taken in divided doses as long as they're taken away from food. One question I'm being asked is, can you take a Champion blend, which is one of our isotonics products, with other isotonics products? Simply because Champion blend has branched chain amino acids. The answer is yes. What you would avoid is taking our Champion blend with L-tryptophan. Those are two, by some people's theory, competing amino acids. And so we want to ensure that both of them get utilized and don't interrupt each other's transport mechanisms. Some people may not agree and believe that you can take all semi-essential and branched chain amino acids together. I think for the focus of each one of those products, one for initiating better sleep, relaxation, and the other as a promoter of athleticism, endurance, and vitality, it seems to make sense that you would not take them together. One question I'm being asked is, do fillers and binders, other than the fact that they limit absorption or utilization of active ingredients, deplete the body of anything? For the most part, fillers and binders don't compete with normal mechanisms of metabolism. This is rarely an issue simply because they're not used in large concentrations. You'd have to take a significant amount of poorly developed supplements or poorly formulated supplements to worry about competition with the body. Okay. Well, we are 21 minutes into our presentation, and I told you I would just take about 20 minutes of your time today. With no other questions, I'd like to invite you again to the Meet On tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, where we will talk about the benefits of supplement use through all different decades of life. And then for our Wellness Wednesdays, which will happen every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will evaluate products, your questions, and some of the needs of your patients. Thank you again for your time today, everybody.